While You Were Missing by Caffeinated Basil. Read by My Lost and Found. Summary. A familiar red-headed child darts across the bullpen with a shout of, "Papa!" and barrels into Jason's arms. "Lian," he breathes. Jason's undercover work as Neal Caffrey is difficult for several reasons. He didn't anticipate that single parenting would be one of them, though. This fic is about 85,600 words and 12 chapters. This fic is rated teen and up audiences and no archive warnings apply. As always, link to the fic is in the description, and on with the story. Chapter 1. Almost a redheaded stepchild. It's unusual for a child to come back to the office with an FBI team instead of being passed off to Child Protective Services after a rescue. But she had insisted over and over that her papa worked in the New York building, and she refused to go with CPS. They decided to gamble on it. If they could reunite the kid with her dad immediately, rather than having to go through the system, it would be better all around. "All right, kiddo. Do you know where your dad works?" one of the agents asks, kneeling down to speak with her. "He works for, The red-headed girl trails off. "I'm sorry. It's a weird name, like shirts or something." "Do you mean white collar?" someone else asks. "Yes, that's it." A few of the gathered agents trade concerned glances. They'd assumed the kid's dad was a civilian worker, not an actual agent. A white-collar agent losing their child to a trafficking ring? That was alarming, to say the least. An agent missing a child should be the top priority of multiple departments, and no one had even heard about it? Suspicious. "What's your dad's name, honey?" The girl blinks a few times. I'm not really sure." She scrunches up her face. "I just call him Papa, or JJ, but it's been a really long time since I last saw him. I don't really remember him very well." The situation starts to shape itself in the agents' minds. The parents are probably separated, with little to no contact, so the kid hasn't seen her dad in years, which could be anywhere from just a couple to over half the kid's lifetime. She said she was 8. Maybe the reason the kid being missing wasn't a major crisis was because her dad hadn't even known she was missing, if her mom had full custody. Yikes. "All right. I say we take her up to White Collar and see if anyone is still there this late that recognizes her. If not, we get CPS back involved." Peter Burke's team is working late, to no one's surprise. Jones, Diana, Peter, and Jason are the only ones left in the office, poring over the financial records of a real estate firm whose meteoric rise had been a bit too coincidental. The ding of the elevator alerts them to visitors, highly unusual for the time of night. But the distraction is welcome, so all 4 of them pile out of the conference room they've been holed up in for the last several hours. Their visitors are a group of agents from a different department, all looking ruffled and sour, as if they've seen some action recently. A familiar red-headed child darts across the bullpen with a shout of, "Papa!" and barrels into Jason's arms. "Lian," he breathes, swinging the young girl up and holding her protectively to his chest. "What's going on? Why is she here?" Jason barks out to the unfamiliar agents who escorted Lian in. She wraps her arms around his neck and starts crying. "Shh, little Red, I've got you," he whispers, patting her hair. "Her dad is their criminal informant?" someone exclaims. I miss you, Papa. Lian hiccups. Papa? She must have told them I was her father. She was recovered from a raid on a trafficking ring. One of the agents says with a glare at Jason. His heart stops and shatters at once. What? Peter steps up. Let's move this into a conference room to get this sorted out. They file into a different room, this table free of financial records. No one else is using it in the middle of the night. Jason's mind races, cataloging the agents who've brought Lian in, trying to make sense of the situation. He knows Roy is off-world, but Lian is supposed to be at a boarding school. She must have been taken from the school, he realizes with horror, tamping down the rage that flares at the thought. I'm still undercover. I'm still Neal Caffrey. I have to react like Neal Caffrey until we can get out. Mr. Caffrey, were you aware of the whereabouts of your child? One of the other agents asks coldly. She's supposed to be in school. A boarding school. St. Alicia's. It's outside Star. Nuh-uh, Papa. I wasn't at St. Alicia's anymore. That was last year. I went to Cherrywood in Oregon this year. Jason looks down at her with wide eyes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I didn't know. He swallows thickly. As I understand, you've been... The agent glances down at the child in his lap. Incarcerated for the last 5 years. Who has custody of Lian during that time? I didn't lose custody, he answers. Due to the circumstances, however, she's been with her grandparents most of that time, to my knowledge. And her mother? Her mother is often out of the country, but the grandparents she lives with are on her other parents' side, not mine. Jason responds carefully. Peter has the obnoxious ability to tell sometimes when he lies outright, so he's avoiding it as much as he can. He can't lie about Lian and have him pick up on it. The situation is too fragile. Jason tightens his grip on her. She's grown since the last time he saw her. He's trying really, really hard not to think about the circumstances that have brought her to him now, because if he does, he's going to burn Neal Caffrey on the spot and tear out some throats. Do you have any documentation to back this up? Not in New York. I can have it mailed to me. It would get here in a day or so. He makes a show of checking his watch, as if thinking about the time it would take to mail things. He's sure his siblings can craft the documentation needed in a few hours, if necessary. One more thing. She says her father's name was JJ. Got an explanation for that, Neal Caffrey? Jason's mind blanks. Think fast, Todd. You're a con man. It's, He coughs a little. It's a nickname. Nice job, dumbass. His face reddens with embarrassment. Are you blushing, Neal? Peter asks. You expect us to believe that? Jason's blush deepens. It's short for an affectionate nickname that Lian didn't really understand at the time. Lian chooses the worst time to join the adults' conversation. JJ means Jaybird, but I couldn't say it when I was little. That's what Mom always calls Dad because he never shuts the fuck up. Jason isn't fast enough to cover her mouth. Sweetheart, we don't use those words in polite company. Okay? She looks up at him with big, wide eyes. Grandpa says you don't count as polite company. I know, love, but the agents count as polite company. But you said that all cops. Jason is fast enough to stop her this time. That's enough for now. Okay, sweet pea. We'll talk more later. She cuddles back into his chest. Okay, Papa. She leans back to look up at him one more time. You're not going away anymore, are you? Can I stay with you instead this time? Jason closes his eyes and kisses her head. I'll do my very best, Princess, he promises softly. All right, I'm not exactly comfortable with this. Another agent protests. I say we call CPS back in. Excuse me, Jason says darkly. You're a criminal, Caffrey, one who has no documentation to prove that this child is actually yours. She doesn't even look like you. There's no way she's seen you in the last 6 years, so she should barely remember you. And she's been through a traumatic enough experience that she could latch on to any friendly-looking adult. I'm not leaving you with her. Does the work release agreement even allow for you to have a child? Jason's blood boils. He races through a dozen rebuttals to the accusations the agent hasn't even bothered to veil. But to his surprise, Peter speaks up in his defense. The parameters of Neal's work release agreement are my concern, not yours. As for any other concerns, I believe that they can be answered with simple verification. Neal sends for her documents. We verify in our systems that everybody is who they say they are. Not complicated. And where does the little girl go in the meantime? I'm not sending her with Caffrey. Jason opens his mouth, but Peter beats him again. Both of them will stay with my wife and I until everything is sorted. Good. Let's go, Neal. Peter stands up and ushers both of them out of the room, through the bullpen, and into the elevator. Peter, you didn't grab any of your stuff, Jason points out. It'll still be here in the morning, he replies shortly. Do you even have your car keys? Yes. They don't talk again until they're standing outside Peter's car. I don't have a booster seat, the older man realizes. She's 9. She doesn't have to use a booster seat, Jason says, opening the back seat and depositing Lian in it. You fallen asleep, Little Red? I'm allowed to be sleepy. Kidnappings are traumatic, she grumbles. He pats her hair. No judgment here, kiddo. We're just going to Peter's house. Then you can go to sleep, okay? I don't have any pajamas. Jason finally allows himself to take in her condition as he finishes buckling her seatbelt. She looks a bit thin, but she's always been on the slight side. Her clothes, face, and hair are dirty, but not ruined. There's some healing bruises ringing one of her wrists. He grimaces. Right, Jason says, thinking aloud. We need to grab some stuff for you. He slides into the front seat. Do you think we could stop by June's, Peter? She might have some kids' clothes from her granddaughter. All right, he sighs. But we're talking once she settles. I want answers, Neal. June, thankfully, has some clothes that will fit Lian. She takes one look at the sleeping kid in the back of Peter's car and raises a single eyebrow at Jason. A child, Neal? He sniffs. I didn't steal her. He realizes as soon as he says it that he is, in fact, stealing Lian. Not from Roy, per se, but definitely from Oliver and Dinah, who were supposed to have her while Roy was working off-world. He moves to follow June inside. I'll clear out a bedroom across the hall from the flat, June says as they walk to the parlor. You can pick up more things from her as soon as everything's sorted, but what we have should do for a couple of days. The bedroom, Jason starts, June's implication cutting through his racing thoughts. Ugh, June, you don't have to put up with both of us. I'll look for another place. Hell, I don't even know if they'll let her stay with me. Likely won't, she says, It's much too human for their trained con man to be a good father to his child. However, June's eyes twinkle with all the shine of the jazz singer she used to be. They can't stop June Ellington from looking after her old friend's great-granddaughter, can they? She smiles shyly. Besides, how could I ever pass up on the chance to have Tommy's great-granddaughter under my roof? Jason's brain short-circuits. Tommy's... Do you mean Thomas Wayne... Holy shit, how did you... Language, young man. June parrots in a terrifyingly familiar British accent. You have Alfred's upbringing all over you. The way you carry bottles is so telling, dear. Have you ever seen yourself prepare tea service? You didn't last a week. Jason stares at his landlady. Don't be too discouraged. I couldn't figure out which of his boys you are, underneath Neal Caffrey. Unless you really are Neal Caffrey, but... Jason. June looks up at him. He doesn't look back, staring at the pile of hand-me-downs on the parlor sofa. I'm Jason Todd. June watches him for a minute, the implications of his admission settling in, no doubt. It's a pleasure, Jason, she says finally. Does Lian have a preference on color? They stop for gas on the way to Peter and Elle's house. How am I doing, JJ? Lian asks, leaning forward to whisper through the headrest while Peter is outside at the gas pump. Jason turns around to whisper back. You're doing fantastic, little Harper. We'll get everything sorted as soon as they give us the privacy to work. Okay? You're undercover, right? Who are you supposed to be? I got Neal Caffrey, but who's Neal Caffrey? This Peter guy is in charge of him somehow, right? Jason realizes then that Lian doesn't know about the mission he's on. She didn't even know he was undercover, never mind who he was undercover as. She'd improvised everything based on what little information she had going into it, and the clues everyone else had given her. He takes a moment to be impressed. That's some damn good work, kiddo. Neal Caffrey is a convicted felon who's on a work release program after escaping from prison. He's a criminal informant for White-Collar Crimes Division of the New York FBI office. Peter's the one who put him in prison, and now he's his handler, the agent in charge of him on the work release. I'm wearing a track and anklet that is a 2-mile radius for this job. Neal was in prison for 4 years, but escaped and got another 4. So that's how long he has to do the work release program. Lian stares at him. You didn't get caught by the feds. Nope. So what are you actually doing there? His response is cut off by Peter's return to the vehicle. They drive mostly in silence. Elle is waiting when they pull up to the house. She ushers Lian inside and to the table for dinner, then whisks her away to the bathroom to get cleaned up while Peter and Jason do the dishes. Peter finally breaks. A kid, Neal? Jason sighs. I don't even know what you want me to say in response to that, Peter. She is 9 years old. Yes. You've had a child the entire time I've known you. Yes. How did I not see that? I'm a professional, Peter, he says, drawing a glass and handing it to Peter to put away in the cabinet. If it weren't for the awful circumstances that I am not thinking about right now, you would have never found out about her. My personal and professional lives are not supposed to mix like this. Neal, you might have gotten a lighter sentence or a better deal if you had a child waiting for you to come home. Fuck, I sent a toddler's dad to prison. Jason sets down the glass he's drawing a little bit too hard. What kind of man do you think I am, Peter? Using my kid to beg pity off prosecutors? Absolutely out of the question. Why all the secrecy then? You've been out for 2 years. You haven't seen her at all. Because she has to stay a secret. I have enemies, Peter.
The only way I can protect her like this is to keep her far away from it all. That was why. All those isolated schools, they were supposed to protect her. How did it go so fucking wrong? It was all supposed to protect her. Neal.
Peter trails off. Jason braces his hand on the counter, head hanging low, thoughts racing through the ramifications of Lian's appearance in his deep cover mission. He's still carefully skirting the circumstances that got her to New York, because he knows himself. He knows that until he can recenter himself, he's a risk to the mission if he lets himself acknowledge that Lian Harper was trafficked. She may not have actually been his kid, but she was Roy's kid, his best friend's kid. Roy, who's been off-world for months and was counting on all of them to take care of her, to protect her. Jason knows he wasn't the one who was in charge of Lian at the time, but he still feels the weight of that massive failure, knowing what it'll do to his closest friend once he finds out. You better get your ass back on Earth damn soon, Harper, he thinks. You have no idea how bad this is, Peter, he says out loud. The agent sets a hand on his shoulder. It's gonna work out, Neal. We'll figure it out. Jason wishes he could believe him. Peter is laying awake when he hears the door to the guest room open and sees a shadow slip down the hall. He immediately moves to get out of bed and follow, but Elle stops him. Neal hasn't seen his daughter in 6 years, honey. Let them be. I'm supposed to be supervising them, hon, he whispers. There's no court order you have to supervise them. Just the bias the other departments have against Neal. He's your friend, Peter. Don't you trust him? Jason is on the phone with Barbara when Lian comes creeping into the living room. Might have to send someone up with the documents. I don't know if they'll accept that as well as the Postal Service, though. The official United States Postal Service packaging might give us the extra edge of credibility, where one of you showing up is going to distract more by adding people to Neal's backstory. They won't trust anyone connected with Neal, Jason argues. They won't have the choice to trust the documents when they're all verified in the database, though. You haven't seen how these people treat Neal Caffrey, Barbie. They wouldn't even let me take Lian back to June's. We're at Peter's place for the night. Oh, one sec, Babs. He pulls the phone away from his ear. You want to send your new identity, kid? We're getting the papers you need created. It's gotta be Lian, obviously, 'cause he kept calling me that, she comments, sitting down on the other end of the couch. I don't think we can use Harper. Do you have something else in mind, or should we make one up? We weren't going to put Caffrey on the birth certificate because Peter's already looked into the Caffrey name so much. I'll use Nguyen. Jason hums. I don't know if your mom will like that. If Mom's pissed about it, she can stop leaving me behind then. He lets out a low whistle. Not touching that one. Okay, Barbie. Lian Nguyen it is. They spend the next few minutes confirming the details and getting their story straight with Lian's input. Barbara signs off the call with a promise that everything will arrive the next day, and they'll have a proper meeting about the situation as soon as Jason and Lian can get back to June's. All right, kiddo. What's up? Jason asks, setting the phone down. Lian pulls her feet up on the couch and tucks her chin onto her knees. Do you know where my dad is? Jason takes a deep breath, thinking for a minute before exhaling. What do you know about your dad's job? Lian glances around the room. He's Red Arrow, and you're the Red Hood, she whispers back. You founded the Outlaws together. Dad said he might be gone for a while, that he had been called in for an off-world mission, but I stopped hearing from him after a couple of months. Do you know anything? I haven't heard from him since the week he left,
Jason says, shaking his head. I'll ask around, see if I can find out what's up. He's with Corey and a couple others, as far as I know. I've been kinda disconnected, though. This Caffrey thing is deep cover. Low contact mission.
I'm sorry, Lian whispers. I didn't mean to mess it up. I just didn't know where to go. Dad told me if anything happened to me, I couldn't get to him. I was supposed to find you. He said you were working in the New York FBI before he left.
You did the right thing, Little Red, Jason assures her, reaching over to pat her on the head. I'm just glad we found you.
You didn't find me, Lian protests quietly, leaning over and curling up against the armrest of the couch. I found you. Elle comes downstairs in the morning to find both Caffreys asleep in the living room, Lian curled up underneath a blanket on the couch, and Neal sitting on the floor, back against the couch at his daughter's feet. Breakfast the next morning is omelets. Peter and Lian set the table while Elle and Neal cook. Peter listens intently while Elle chats with Lian. Neal stays mostly silent, which is a surprise to him, but one look at the con man tells him he's still off balance. Neal doesn't look like he slept much at all. Do you like traveling, Lian? Have you ever been to New York before? Mom took me on a trip home last year for summer break. Lian smiles up at her. It was awesome. The food is always so much better than at school. And where's home, honey? Elle asks her. Hanoi.
Her mother is Vietnamese, Neal explains. Kate's not her mother? Peter asks, shocked. Lian wrinkles her nose. Kate? Aunt Kate? That's gross! Neal leans over and whispers something in her ear, setting the dish of food on the table. I'd thought, with her hair at least, it made sense that Kate was her mother. Elle wonders aloud. She doesn't take after you very much, does she? Peter observes. Neal mumbles something in response. What was that, Neal? I said, Neal pauses, grimacing, I'm naturally a redhead. Peter turns to stare at him. What? Neal glowers back. I am naturally a redhead. Elle and Peter just stare at him. Lian giggles. Eat your breakfast, young lady, Neal orders, pointing at her with a fork. You're so unthreatening, it's funny, she replies, giggling harder. Now I'm imagining you with red hair. Wait, so that stuff I found that you said was shoe polish? Peter starts to say. Elle's laughter joins Lian's. Neal glowers. All of the documents that the New York office receives concerning Neal's daughter are verified. They try to argue against it anyways. It's Hughes who finally puts a stop to it. If it was anyone else in the building, you would have let the kid go the minute she ran across the room to her father. Leave them alone. Peter watches Neal's grateful nod to Hughes from the corner of his eye as their opposition files out of the room. Neal gathers his daughter up and takes her to his desk in the bullpen, but Hughes motions for Peter to stay back. Keep an eye on them both and see what you can learn. We're going to need to go over the terms of his work agreement, but let's let things settle for a few days. I want progress on that real estate case. Neal and Lian are standing at the CI's desk when Peter steps out. A couple of other agents are gathered around, most of them talking to Lian. A second Caffrey is quite the news. Grab your things, Neal. I'm taking you home, Peter says. Neal looks surprised. It's morning, Peter. I haven't done any work today. Neal protests tentatively. Peter looks at the clock and sighs. He's right. But Peter also knows that it's going to be hard for anyone to get much done with Caffrey 2.0 around. They're not really supposed to have a kid in the office, with all the protected information they process, anyway. Do you have a babysitter? I didn't think so. Take the day to figure things out, Neal. We'll just take it from your sick days. Neal gives up and starts grabbing his things, but pauses. Wait a minute. I get sick days? Let's go, Neal. Jason calls home as soon as he and Lian are alone at June's. Right. Dick starts out as soon as the call connects. He's at the table in the kitchen, Alfred visible in the background over his shoulder. What's going on? Where's B? Jason asks immediately. He's got a monitor shift at the warehouse, Babs explains, her voice coming from a video feed showing the empty clock tower. She rolls back into view a moment later. He's planning to listen in, at least. Tim and Steph should be joining in a minute. We're all still waking up from patrol. Lian walks over and pokes him. Do you have any food? Yeah, of course. You hungry, kid? He stands up and carries his laptop into the kitchen, his temporary ward trailing after him like a redheaded duckling. The laptop is deposited on the island. Jason drags a stool around to the counter to sit in front of it, picks up Lian, and drops her onto the stool. You get to man the communication center. What do you want to eat? Lian ducks her head. Anything is fine. Whatever is easy. I really was just wondering if you had any snacks. Noodles or bread? He asks. She tilts her head, spinning back and forth on the stool. I don't think I get it. Do you want something noodly or something bready? Jason repeats. Lian stares blankly, blinking. What's bready? It's Jason's turn to blank. Like pizza or pierogies. Something dough-like, I guess. I've never had pierogies, Lian says. Aren't they some kind of dumpling? Yeah, they're a Polish potato-filled. The laptop screen flickers when Stephanie joins their call, and Jason becomes abruptly aware that half of the family has been watching his exchange with Lian. Cass waves when she notices him looking at the screen. He waves back. Lian spins back around on her stool, spying the new people. Hi, Tim. Should we have something noodly or something bready? She asks. Noodles, always, Tim answers, still looking at another screen. You got taller, I think. He comments, glancing up. Noodles with a rich broth would be a recommended food for recovery when dietary standards have been. Tim cuts himself off, looking back at Jason, standing behind Lian. I'll, send you some stuff, okay? Lian spins back around. Tim says we should have noodles, JJ. Gotta listen to Timmy, then. Jason nods seriously. What kind of noodles do you want, kiddo? She spins around on the stool a couple more times. I can do pasta fagioli. I can do miso udon. I've got some broth left over, so I can also do beef pho. I can do classic chicken noodle. Lian's spinning falters. Can we have pho? She asks. Her voice is steady, but Jason can see the tension, the tentativeness. We absolutely can, Jason assures her, and turns to the fridge to start grabbing ingredients. Is the crew gathered yet? Just waiting on Duke, Bab calls out from the computer, just as his yellow mask pops up on screen. Never mind, I guess. What did I miss? Nothing, we're just starting. Aw, you didn't have to wait. A dark picture pops up, someone else joining. Jason squints at the screen from where he's pouring the container of broth into the pan on the stove. He starts soaking the noodles. Damien, Aren't you supposed to be at school?
I am at school. I have merely removed myself from the active teaching environment.
Holy shit, are you in the janitor's closet? Tim asks, leaning close to the screen. Language, Master Timothy, Alfred calls out distantly from the background of Dick's feed. Is Lian joining our council, then? Duke asks. Yep, Jason answers. Do you know everyone, Lian? These are all my siblings.
Signal is your brother?
She didn't know? Steph exclaims. You said she knew. Shoot, I should have unmasked. I forgot.
Well, she knows now. I know Dad's Red Arrow and Jay's Red Hood and Tim's Red Robin, but I didn't know everyone else was somebody too. We're somebody too. We're heroes too.
Nice job, Thomas, Damien mutters.
You literally just made it worse, Steph points out.
Okay, Jason says, chopping vegetables. Introductions then, I guess.
Hi, Squirt. Stephanie starts. I'm Steph. Spoiler number 1, Robin number 4, Batgirl number 3.
I'm Duke. I go by Signal in the field. I'm Babs, also known as Oracle and Batgirl number 1.
I am Damien, the 5th and most superior Robin.
Broom closet Robin, Tim mutters.
Lian giggles. Cass, Black Bat, Orphan, 2nd Batgirl.
Hi, Lian. I'm Dick. I'm Nightwing. Sometimes I step in as Batman if he can't. And I was the first Robin. I was on the original Titans team with your dad, back when we were teenagers.
Wait a minute, Lian says. Your name's actually Dick? I thought Dad and Tim and Jay just didn't like you. The call erupts into laughter, drowning Dick's protests.
It's short for Richard, the oldest Robin grumbles.
Bruce says to stay on track,
Babs relays. Killjoy. Right, so they accepted all her documents for Lian Yuan. She is officially Neal Caffrey's child. Where do we go from here? Tim says. Would it be too suspicious for her to leave right away? They barely let Neal take her. Then for her to immediately disappear. Duke trails off.
Thomas is right. That would be suspicious.
Damien agrees. So, Lian's hanging around for a bit. Tim's keyboard is audible in the background. We'll need to move you out of the Ellington house then. No need. June says Lian can have the bedroom across the hall. Jason pauses, the knife halfway through the cut of beef he's slicing. She's on to us, by the way. Clocked me as a Wayne. Apparently, I carry bottles like Alfred does. Sorry about that. He grimaces a bit. As I recall, Alfred says over Dick's shoulder, this course of events was foretold as a possibility before the operation began. Underestimating Miss Ellington has never been an advised course of action. He stares pointedly into the camera. Jason can envision Bruce cringing under that stare in the monitor room at the watchtower. So no moving needed. This time it's Bab's keyboard clicking in the background. Someone will need to stay with Lian during the week. Who's free?
I can stay by myself,
Lian offers. The broth simmers quietly on the stove, nearing a boil. The FBI's watching you both right now, Dick explains. We have to be really careful about how we proceed, in order to preserve Jason's undercover identity and safely extract you.
Has Queen mentioned anything about his apparently missing granddaughter, father?
Damien asks. B says no, Barbara replies.
Yikes, Steph says. I vote we don't give her back. Ever.
I will prepare a room, then, Alfred says. B says he'll speak with Damien's school. Still no word from Roy's team? Jason asks over the bubbling of the soup boiling on the stove. He starts making a bowl for Lian, ladling the broth into the bowl over the beef, vegetables, and noodles. Nothing yet. I'm sorry to both of you. Babs apologizes. We're still trying to reach them. What things will Miss Lian be requiring? Is there anything we can retrieve from her former school? Alfred asks. Jason sets the bowl in front of Lian and directs her to the utensils drawer. Is anyone looking into that school yet? He asks, serving his own bowl and dragging another stool over. Don't worry, Jay. We're already on it, Tim assures him. Do you have what you need for Lian to stay there for a while? I was planning for us to go shopping after lunch. There is a Marshall's a few stops away if we take the subway. Jay, there is no way Neal Caffrey would take his daughter shopping at Marshall's, Dick says. Jason frowns back at him. Neal is supposed to be living on $700 a month, he counters. It'll have to do for a bit, until Lian goes to Gotham.
None of you have asked Lian if she wants to live in Gotham, Damien points out. The call goes quiet. Jason turns to his redheaded ward, who looks down into her bowl as she slurps the noodles.
Lian, he asks, where do you want to live?
She doesn't look up, even after finishing her bite of noodles. Do I actually get a choice?
Yes, he confirms. You do actually get a choice on the stipulation that it's a safe place for you.
Lian looks around the apartment, staring out the windows to the balcony. I want to stay with you, she says, carefully but decisively, and scoops up another spoonful of broth. The call remains silent, surprisingly, while Jason's thoughts race all through the implications of what Lian staying with him would mean, what it would do to Neal Caffrey, how he could continue his undercover work. It's almost too much. He can see dozens of worst-case scenarios already. It's a bad idea to let Lian stay with him in New York. But the late morning sunlight, almost at its noon peak, slips through the windows and reflects off Lian's hair, just the way it does off Roy's. Warm light turning the rusty orange to gold. I can't let him down, Jason thinks. She glances up at him through the loose strands of her hair. He sent her to me because he trusts me to look after her, to protect her. I won't let him down. Okay, Jason says aloud. Okay, you'll stay here. I'll get things sorted with June. It's gonna work out. He can see the disagreement on some of his siblings' faces, but they hold their tongues for now. Or Babs muted them. He takes a deep breath. I guess we'll need to find you a school then. I'm on it, Tim says. I'll send you a couple of options in a bit. What if the FBI protests? Steph asks. Technically, Lian is staying with June Ellington, an old family friend, not Neal Caffrey. Jason's phone buzzes with a direct message from Bruce. I hope you know what you're doing, B. I do too, Bruce, Jason thinks. I do too. Lian sits on the bed in her new room in Miss June's house, surrounded by shopping bags. Jay and June had both offered to help her unpack, but she declined. She hasn't had a chance to be truly alone in months. Her window has a nice view of the street, and if it weren't for the leaves on the trees, she thinks she might be able to see the Hudson. It's pleasant. She's glad Jay let her stay. She hopes it lasts, if only for a little while. The others said they had a plan for if the FBI tries to take her away from Jay. But honestly, Lian isn't particularly hopeful. She's learned long ago that adults don't pick kids first. At least, none of her adults do. She doesn't want to say that she's resentful, because she was raised in this life. She knows that the fate of thousands of people, the fate of worlds,
comes before a 9-year-old who wasn't even planned on. She'll enjoy the home-cooked meals and the kind smiles and worried glances while they last. And when she gets shipped off to another isolated boarding school, she'll at least get to have memories of the busy streets of New York to tide her over between the rare visits she'll get. Maybe, if she's especially lucky, her dad will get back to Earth before she gets shipped off again, and she can see him in person. She wants to kick him in the shins. At least Jay makes good food. She won't tell him so, but the pho was really comforting. She's only met him a few times before, but she can see why he's her dad's best friend. And that is all for the first chapter. Now, this is the only time I will be rambling after the fic until like the last chapter, so buckle up if you want to hear that. But I am so excited to be doing this one. This was one of the first like Batman white collar crossovers I ever read, and let me just tell you, I am hooked on them now. Like I love them so much. I am on, what is it, page 18 of 52 of all of the crossover works that don't have Bruce posing as Neal Caffrey or Damien, I think. Yeah, those are it's just, I don't know, because this is the first one I read. I didn't, like, I barely even realized that white collar was a thing. Even despite that it's tagged and like the characters are tagged, like Elizabeth and Mozzie are tagged with white collar in brackets. I barely even realized. I didn't know this wasn't like any way related to Batman canon. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, Jason is whoever this is. It's secret identity. He's under deep cover looking for stuff. I don't know. It's cool. So this got like cemented in my mind, and Jason as Neal Caffrey will remain my favorite because of this fic. Like, I didn't even know anything else was an option until I had like finished this. I think I had only read 1 or 2 other white collar crossover fics, like, by the point that I read this. Anyway, what I'm saying is I love this, and this has sparked a love for this type of fic in me because this is so good. This is like such a good fic, and I am so happy I got permission to PODFIC it. So yeah, it has got the feels. It is so nice. Anyway, so yeah, that is all for now. I am very excited to be doing the rest. You will hear me ramble when the fic is over at the last chapter again, but other than that, it'll just be this beautiful fic until its end, so you can just listen all the way through. Anyway, that is all for this time. Go leave a kudos, go leave a comment on the original, whatever you can. I am sure the author appreciates it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye! My god, this is so long. This is the longest fic I've done that isn't my own fic. I'm excited.